And right there is how easy it is to put that outside detailed edge around the outside. All right, now we're going to show you how we install the drawer front first, and then we'll install the door second. Okay, we're ready to install our drawer front now, and before we install that drawer front, what we like to do first, I'll show you why, is put the holes in there for the hardware. We got a special little jig that does that for us. This little drawer is 5 inches tall and 8 1/4 this way. So what I'm going to do is set this back behind here on this stop right here. And I'm going to center it on my scale. So here's 6, 7, 8. Well, I'm going to go 8 1/4 right there. And you can see I'm lined up with 8 1/4 here. We're going to slide that stop in there, and that locks it in and centers it. So if I got repetitive ones, I can do the same. 5 inches this way, we got a half scale going this way. So I'm going to bring this up to 5 inches right there, lock this down. Now I'm ready to drill the holes for my hardware. I know it's centered this way and this way. And we have a 6-inch aircraft drill that comes with this to drill your holes. These are bushings. We just drill right through those bushings. Okay. Pull that off, and our holes are centered just perfectly. And you can adjust these for any width handles you might have hardware, or if you got just one in the center, you can use the center one. That comes in handy for drilling our hardware, but also it comes in handy for this. What we're going to do now, I'm going to show you how we're going to put this on. When we start putting our drawers on now, we want gravity to work with us. So what I got to do is I put a little bucket back here. We're going to tilt this cabinet back on that bucket. And when you start with this, your drawers are all installed. You start with the bottom drawer and you work up, okay? And what we do is we put a 1/2 inch overlay on all 4 sides. So if this bottom rail is 4 inches, we're going to cut a strip of wood here 3 1/2 inches, okay? Right there. We'll clamp that down. Now when we put our drawer front on there, we're ready to go. And we got 1.5 inches here, so we're going to take a 1-inch strip right here, right there. We know that's where that drawer is going to go. So we'll put it on, assemble it, keep going up. This is an 1.5 inch rail here, 1/2 inch overlay. We're already 1/2 inch, so we put a 1/2 inch in between, and we just keep working up and we put that drawer on. We keep working our way up until we're up to this top drawer, okay? So when we do this now, let's just get to this top drawer. Since this rail is 1.5 inches and we want a 1/2 inch overlay, we got a 1-inch strip of stock here. Okay, we're just going to put that 1-inch piece here. I think we're tight enough right there with that. Make sure we're flush right there. Okay, we know our drawer is going to go there now. We need to take another 1-inch piece on the outside right here. We're lined up right there. We're lined up just perfect there. Okay, we know that's centered. Okay, now I used to just take double stick tape on them drawers and pull them out and try to do that. But since we already have those 2 holes drilled, all we have to do is we're going to use those holes. We just take 2 screws, go right through there into our drawer, right there. Right like that. So easy to install our drawers and get them accurately done, right like this. Okay? Pop our spacers off, pop this up, and right there our drawer front's put on exactly where we want it, right there. Now, we're not going to leave those. What we want to do next is open this up, okay? And we're going to go get 2 more screws. What we're going to do with those screws is screw from the inside through here and here. Okay, here's those 2 screws we have. Okay, we're going to come in from the inside of the drawer now and screw that front on right like this. Now she's secure. Now what we can do is we can lose these 2 now, see? We're going to take those out. Now you can drill holes all the way through put your hardware on, and then fasten it from, you're connecting with the drawer front and the drawer. So install your hardware, and that job is completed. All right, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go get that door, and we're going to show you how we're going to hinge our door. Okay, we're ready to install the hinges in our door, and we use the European type hinges, the 35mm hinges, and we're going to install them on this side over here. And the jig that does that drills the holes for us, is a neat little jig that we have to do that. It automatically drills all 3 holes for you, just like that. What you do is you just set the jig down on here on these 2 stops, okay? And you can adjust these 2 stops for different settings. We have it setting on the number 2, which is 1/2 inch overlay, which we always use. You dial it to number 3, you got 3/8 inch overlay, and so forth. Okay, we're going to bring that down the back of our door, and I always line it up so I'm flush. This little tip of yellow is flush right there on the edge of my door. We'll clamp that down, and we're ready to drill the holes. Okay, these 2 outside holes, what we're drilling there are 2 8mm holes. We'll drill them first. And you can see these are spring-loaded for us, and they're already set to the correct depth. Okay, this bit here in the middle is a little bit bigger, the 35mm bit. And you can set that for whatever depth you want by adjusting these nuts. Our hinges we use, we like because they only have a 7/16 inch depth. Some of them go 1/2 inch. The shallower cup hinges are nicer because if you have a detailed edge around the outside, you don't want to have that hole come in there too deep and interfere with that detailed edge. So whenever you're doing this, it's always advantageous to take and drill on a practice piece first. You don't want to ruin a whole door by having that hinge cup come through on your detail. So do a practice door first on a piece of scrap wood. Okay, we've done that hole. We're going to come down here, and you can see the holes, how nice they're positioned. We're going to do the same thing down here now on the other side. Right like that. Clamp it down, line up with the outside edge, take the 2 cam clamps, and we're ready to drill the holes. This jig right here saves me a lot of time, believe me, I tell you. It also has a center point right in here. If you're drilling a big door and you want to center it, you can put the position of the hinge and center it right there. Okay, we've got the hinges done. Now, here's the best part of it, installing the hinges. Literally, there's just no screwing or anything. All you do is position that hinge right where you want it, and just a couple whacks, and your hinge is installed immediately, because right here you can see there's 2 little nylon plastic inserts. They're just wedged in there. Now the hinge is installed. You can unscrew that, stain and spray your door, and assemble it back and forth as much as you want. Those hinges, those nylon cups will never wear out, and you will never get them out. I've tried to get them out at times, and they're in there for good. All right, we're ready to install that door now. And the hinges we have here that we always use with this face frame construction are face frame hinges. You can see we're just set for 3/4 of an inch right there with those 2 clips. Okay, and remember, 1/2 inch overlay. Again, what we're going to do to help us out a little bit is take a piece of 1 inch stock, clamp it on the bottom, and that positions the door for us. Okay. We open up the hinges, and all it takes is 1 screw. Okay? We'll take our screw and set that hinge right like that. And that easily, your door is installed. Okay, perfectly centered. Now, what's nice about these hinges, they have adjustments on them, screws. You can adjust that hinge if you have 2 doors meeting. With 1 screw, we'll move the door in and out, and the other screw will move the door, if you have some long ones, tip them in and out this way. And you can also move the door up and down with the screws you just put in. Okay, the last thing I want to show you now, we have our door done, we have all our drawers done, basically our cabinet is done. We're going to go back to our finished cabinet now. and show you a few things to wrap this job up. Okay, one other thing we're going to add to this door here before we finish up is a new thing from Bloom. It's a door closer, door silencer, and it sits right in here like this. You've seen doors. They used to put the old-fashioned bumpers on here to silence them, and, it's annoying. These things are nice. We're going to put that in your door. The closer you put this to the hinge side, the faster your door is going to close. You get it out in here, it will take forever for that door to close. But I always like to put it about an inch or an inch and a half away from the edge, from the hinge side. So let's take I take the screw that comes with it and throw it away, and I use the old trusty square drive screw instead. But we're going to put that right here. Okay, it's installed. There's a little lip behind the face frame. Now, when your door closes, nice. So that's just a nice added touch that you could put on all your doors, even in any type of cabinet. Okay, we're ready. Our cabinet is done. We got all of our drawers done, our door, let's say. The last thing, remember at the beginning, we showed you how to make this sub base for our router. The instructions on how the size of this right here and how to drill the holes and everything are all in your instructions here. And what's nice about that is these 4 center holes line up with these 2 braces we put in here, see? So now when you put this tabletop down with the router table on it, you can run the bolts that are underneath there. You might want to get some longer bolts depending on the thickness of your stock you're using here, but to get through there. And those 4 bolts will run down through there, and you can if you want to get wing nuts, if you want to take it off, there's regular nuts that come with it. You can tighten it down, but with wing nuts you can unscrew it, take this top off. You can take it to a job site if you wanted to, or bring it back and forth however many times you want. But what we did here, and we used plywood in here, but outside we edge banded it with a piece of oak because we want it to look nice. When the top's on here, we want that looking nice right like that. So let me show you how easy it is to make. We tongue and groove this on here. Let me show you how we're going to tongue and groove this edge banding onto that plywood. Okay, here's our plywood top, and in the instructions it tells you how big to make that piece of plywood. You have 2 pieces of hardwood that are going to be on the outside, and those 2 pieces on the outside here, you want them the exact same length as the width of your plywood, okay? The pieces going this way now, we'll cut those out, we'll make them a little bit extra long. Okay, so what we're going to do is we got the groove cutter, the tongue and groove cutter, the groove cutter we're going to put into our router. We're going to cut grooves in the center of all of our edge banding. And remember, keep the good side down. Okay, we've got all of our grooves cut, and make sure that you keep the good side up. Don't get those mixed up. Put an X on the top. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to change bits and put the tongue cutter in. Again, after building this cabinet, you know how easy this is to do. We'll just come into here, pop this bit out, bring the tongue cutter in, and we're ready to go. There's our ring locked in. Okay. Fence drops into my pivot. There's my straight edge of my bearing. And we're ready to start cutting. Now what we're going to do is cut the tongue on our plywood. Put the good side down, and we'll cut that. Okay, right there's our good side. Now, all we have left to do is take our edge banding. Okay, you can see this is the top side, how we're nice and flush right there. What we want to do is line this up front and back. And what I do first is I'll clamp these two edges on first. Clamp this on after that's dry, come in here and clamp this on out here. Then you can take and size after that's all clamped up. You can take and cut that to the exact size. I always make these a little bit wider than what they're supposed to be. I can cut it to the exact 27 inches by 31 and a half. I believe that's what the dimensions are in the catalog. So that's how easy it is to make that top. Then lay out all your holes, drill the hole for here, and you're all set now to plop this down, put it on your cabinet, and install your router table. Okay. After you get your top made and your holes are all drilled, you can see where we drilled the holes in the top of the table. This is we took the top off the one we were demonstrating with all day to show you here, but those 4 holes will correspond with these 4 holes right here, and that way your router table will come right down on top just where it has to be. So another thing, if you want to, instead of, we installed a remote control on-off switch on the outside right here, and you can run the power cord through the back of the drawers. You get in there, makes it a lot handier working that thing from the outside remote than it does underneath here. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to install that router table top and show you how it's installed on top of this sub base right here, and we'll come over here and we'll show you how it goes on top. Okay, here's our top, and you can see how we bolted this to our sub base right here on these here. And here we got a little bit longer bolts because they got to come. Remember those bolts we did at the very beginning? We slid in those tracks. We put longer ones in there because we want to come through these 4 corner blocks here, these braces right here, and then bolt it from underneath the cabinet. So all we have to do is line this up here, and those bolts aren't going to move. You can trust where they're going to go. There, the 4 bolts are down underneath there. Now you can take some washers, run underneath there and lock that down, and you're in business. So that's the completion of our building of our router table cabinet and our router table top and fence. That is one way you can do it with the cabinet. The other place you can use this is, like we said in the beginning, you can install this whole router table into the table side of your table saw. And we'll give you an example of what that looks like here next. Okay, another way of using our router table, since we designed it 27 inches wide, and most table saws are 27 inches deep, you can set this on the table board side of your table saw. And it works great because you have your pivot pin right here, and you can swing it this way like this, and you can push stock through, and you have a nice long outfeed table right there. If you didn't want to do that, another thing you could do is take this bolt off right here, lift up your table, slide this bolt out right here. That way our fence comes off, and if you got some short stuff to do, you can use a T-square fence on your table saw and use that in conjunction with the router table, either way. So the way we did that at the very beginning, remember when we made that sub base? We made that sub base with a 3-inch wide rail all the way around. That way you can install it in your table saw. To do that, every table saw is different. You might have to re-drill some holes in this piece of angle iron here and bolt it down a little bit lower. The holes might not line up for you perfectly, but I'm sure you can retrofit it to fit your table saw. Some table saws nowadays are coming out where they're 28 inches deep. Some I've even seen are 30 inches deep. If that's the case, you make your sub base 28 inches. put your router table on that 28-inch wide sub base, and then you can always put a little 1/2-inch filler strip on each side, and that'll work fine for you there too. But this is just another way for you people that are cut short on space to use your router table with your table saw. Okay, you can see we used a lot of tools here today, and whether you put your router table in a table saw and use it like that, or you use your router table and build a cabinet for it like that, or maybe you want to build a cabinet that fits underneath your table saw here, make this cabinet shorter and wider, you can use this table in a variety of different ways. And I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. Just as I enjoyed working with you today, and I hope you enjoy using your router table.